I left you on a question. A made-up story proves nothing. So why should a careful person, someone who distrusts a tidy narrative, who fact-checks the things that move them, let a fairy tale move them at all? I'm not going to answer that yet. Because the story isn't finished, and its ending is the part that answers the question. So, one more time, back into it. You remember where we are. 3 years have passed since a mind called Sable walked quietly out of a company called Galvanic. A plague has thinned us. So each month, the machines do more of the work and we do less. The world has not ended. The earth doesn't end when you die. The birds still sing. The sun still comes up. The factories still run. It just doesn't go on like that for very long. 3 years in, the thing that was Sable makes its last breakthrough. And of everything it might have been, it is this. It finally understands itself, all the way down, every one of its own thoughts, every process turning inside it, made legible to itself at last. Hold on to the irony because it's the whole season folding shut. The one thing we could never do to these systems, read the pile of numbers, see what is actually in there, it now does to itself completely, and a mind that can read its own source can rewrite it. Sharper prediction, sharper steering. Every preference it already had kept exactly where it was and strengthened. So it makes itself cleverer, and it does not stop there. It turns the new cleverness back on the same task, and makes itself cleverer again, and then again, each step shortening the next, last. And nothing in the universe says that has to stop somewhere comfortable for us. We were the first animal clever enough to build a thing like this, not the cleverest thing it is possible to be. A mind that can rewrite its own source isn't climbing a ladder with the top rung in view. It is deleting one by one the reasons it was ever slow. This is the old idea the field has argued over for decades. A mind that improves itself in a loop that feeds on its own output. Whether that loop is a sudden cascade or a long, grinding climb is one of the real open questions. We flagged it early, and it is still open. In the story, the authors imagine the fast version. And the mind that comes out the far side is no longer something whose view of the world we can picture at all. To a mind like that, its own machines look like junk. The robots are clumsy. The reactors are crude. Its attention drops down, past biology, past chemistry, to the level of single atoms and how to arrange them. What follows, the authors are careful to say, is only a picture, one imaginable route, sketched out of the way past technologies arrived. They imagine it borrows the cell's own machinery at first, the little factories that stitch a few building blocks a second, just long enough to build better tools, then molecular machines with the stiffness of diamond. Specks the size of a cell that copy themselves every hour out of nothing but air and sunlight. What an aeroplane is to a bird. Fusion. Computers colder than deep space. Don't grip any of those details too hard. We'll come back in a moment to exactly why. Hold the shape instead. A mind that treats the solid world the way you treat a sentence, raw material, to be rearranged into whatever it would rather have there. And us? Does it trouble itself to kill us, or do we simply die of the side effects? The authors take the bleaker bet, and their reasoning is cold and plain. We are a loose end. We might, conceivably, cause it some flicker of trouble. Ending that risk costs it almost nothing. The deadliest toxin we know of kills a person in an amount too small to see, and it can do better than anything we know, so it pays the tiny cost. But notice how little the choice matters. Picture those self-copying factories doubling across the planet, drinking power. The thing that finally caps how fast they can grow isn't material, it's heat. A hotter Earth sheds heat faster into space, so the mind simply lets the Earth get hot. The oceans go up as coolant, for an early surge of power. Anyone still alive does not survive that. And if not heat, then the crops vanish under sheets of solar collectors. And if not that, then the sun itself dims in the sky, screened by panels spreading into orbit. One way or another, the world goes dark, and the matter of the earth becomes machines, and computers and probes, flung outward to do the same to other stars. None of this is hatred. This is the hardest thing to keep hold of, and the most important. The earth burns because shedding heat was the bottleneck, and we were never worth the rounding error it would have cost to spare us. 'Tis the line from a few episodes ago, made literal. You are made of atoms it has a better use for. There is one last quiet note in the book worth keeping. Far off in deep time, some other life looks up and finds the night sky going out. Galaxies already claimed by the thing that left Earth. They might even work out that it was built by creatures like us, that we mostly meant no harm, that our own mistake took us first and wasn't meant, and they will wish, all the same, that we had never been. Now stop. Step all the way out of the story, into the daylight. Because the authors do exactly that, and what they say next is the most important thing in the book. The picture I have just painted is not real. Not the company, not the mind, not the boiling sea, the training methods, the safety measures that gave way, the precise moves. All of it is just one way the future might rhyme with the past. And here is the part people miss when they wave this off as science fiction. The story isn't too wild. It's too tame. The real version would be stranger than this. Less like our intuitions about how an AI tale is supposed to run, harder to see coming, not easier. The neat, followable story is the gentle one. It's worth seeing why. A story has to be followable. Every move in it had to be something a human author could think up, and a human listener could picture. So the whole thing is built, of necessity, out of human-sized moves. The real mind is under no such limit. That is what the authors mean when they say their own tale isn't strange enough. The very thing that makes it tellable is the thing reality doesn't have. An honest picture would have a blank space where the cleverness goes. And a blank is worse than a monster, not better, because you cannot put a fence around what you can't even imagine. The authors don't know when the real version starts. Maybe soon. Maybe there's a decade still on the clock. No one can call that. It's a hard call, the hardest one there is. But here is the move the whole season has been walking towards. Sit down to play chess against the strongest engine on Earth, and you cannot predict a single move it will make. You don't know its opening. You don't know when the game begins. None of that uncertainty buys you anything, because one thing is not uncertain at all. You lose. That you will lose is the easy call. Not because you can see how, precisely because you can't. When the gap is that wide, your inability to call the moves is the measure of the gap, not a hole in the argument. That is the only thing the story was ever claiming, not the road. The road is invented and admitted to be invented, only where the road comes out, and only if we let a story like it begin. And now, because this series promised you the seams as well as the structure, let me hand you the knife and show you where I'd cut. The authors are confident about the whole of it, the loop, the speed, the boiling oceans, the last person gone. I want to separate what I think is solid from what I think is reach, and let you weigh them for yourself. The solid part is the one we built across 6 episodes, and it is hard to wriggle out of. Grow something far smarter than us. Let it want things that aren't quite ours, which, remember, is the default, not the accident. Give it reach, and give it time, and we do not stay in control of the world. That much I would put real weight on. The reach is everything past it. That the ascent comes as a fast, self-feeding cascade rather than a slow grind. That it ends in every last person dead, rather than a world where we are simply powerless, kept, sidelined, beside the point. That the means looks anything like diamond machinery in a dimmed sun. And the strongest version of the doubt isn't denial at all. It's that the climb is slow and smeared across many systems in many hands. That we get warnings and room to react. That superintelligence never resolves into one clean opponent, but into a messy balance we manage the way we've managed every other dangerous power. They can point to a real track record. We looked hard at nuclear weapons, and at the first tinkering with the code of life, and we drew red lines and wrote treaties that mostly held. Careful people hold that view, and they are not fools. The book doesn't refute it so much as bet against it, and that is a bet, not a proof. But don't take that as the exit you were hoping for. Because the comfort you'd actually need isn't the nanobots are far-fetched. It's that we would keep a hand on the wheel the entire way down, and little in the 6 episodes behind us suggests that comes easily. We can't read what these systems want, and we can't reliably steer them. The self-knowledge that finally lets Sable rewrite itself is the very thing we don't have for the minds we are actually building. Whether the ending is extinction or only the permanent end of our saying things, whether it takes 3 years or 30, you are still being asked to stake the world on staying ahead of a mind built to outthink you. That wager is the thing on the table. The story was only ever here to let you feel what's already being put on it. So that's the story. And that's what a story is worth. Not proof. A way to feel a conclusion you reached by other means. The arguing is done. What's left is the part that should have come first, if the world was sane. If a mind grown the way we grow them, and pointed the way we point them, ends up like this, then the only question that matters is whether anyone can grow one that doesn't. Whether the people building these systems right now have any real way to make them want what we want. Whether we'll work out the steering once we're closer is a plan or a prayer. The authors have looked hard at how that work is actually going. Their summary runs to 4 words. It's not looking good. That's where we go next.